Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm back this week, man. I haven't talked sports all week. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and to my left, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own. He's College Control.
Gene, how are you feeling, man? You know, I feel like this is a great show. This past Sunday, and I know we're gonna get to NFL later, but I finally get to celebrate my team getting a victory on Sunday. So this show feels extra special. You know what I mean? So, and it's only two of us right now too. So maybe even once we get to NFL, get to talk a little bit about the collapse of the Packers, but maybe a little bit about my Browns getting their first win of the season. I know you had an exciting game over in Philly there as well.
Bro, how about both our teams getting wins on the back of blocked field goals?
Crazy, right?
That is wild. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was one of the wildest weeks in the NFL I've seen in a long, long time. So I'm fired up to talk a little NFL action. We'll obviously get to that. We got some NCAA college football action. We got a big game this week. The Penn State Nittany Lions are finally going to get tested. They played Little Sisters of the Poor the first 3 weeks of the season and then decided they wanted to take a bye week, and then they get Oregon. That's on a whiteout week. I'm going to tell you something right now. If they do not show up in this football game, you better believe there's going to be questioned all the opportunities that they had to get ready for this game. I do not like the way they handle this. But we'll find out. If they win the game, I guess all is well and ends well, right? Isn't that how that works?
Absolutely.
We got a lot to get into. We're going to start with a little hot wire action. Control, I'd like you to lead us into the hottest of wires.
Absolutely. And, you know, normally I feel like WNBA would get its own kind of topic, you know, especially at this point in the year with the, you know, sports and everything. Feel like it's just one of those topics that we kind of got to throw on the hot wire, one that we have to talk about. But let's kick the show off with it. You know, WNBA playoffs is obviously in full swing. We talked about it last week. You know, you've had the Aces, the Fever, the Lynx, and the Mercury all advance. Both of those series, Mercury Lynx is tied at 1-1, and Fever and Aces are tied at 1-1. Gene, I'm not sure how much WNBA action you've ultimately gotten, you know, a chance to see, but from what you have seen, just knowing that both of these series are tied up there at 1-1, just kind of let me know, you know, what you're thinking so far.
I know my man Nick's not in the chat, but I've been watching way too much WNBA. Not way too much. It's never too much, but I've been watching a lot of WNBA because my man's betting on the games every friggin' night. It's insanity watching this dude bet WNBA basketball. But I've been watching a lot of WNBA. You got game 3 tonight with Aces and Fever. Look, I'll be completely transparent. Last week, I told you. I was the one that told you the Phoenix Mercury are going to give New York all they can handle. I remember talking to Mo and I think it was Will in the morning, and they were like, our coach, like, I'm really excited to see the Liberty versus the Lynx. I said, slow down. Phoenix is loaded. They got some people. They got some players. Alyssa Thomas has been playing out of her damn mind. And then when it comes to the WNBA, when it comes to the Fever, how about the Fever, man? The Fever's lost everyone. They win a game 3 versus the Dream, and they're just cruising along. They're still playing basketball. They're down Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson. They're down Caitlin Clark. There's just so many players out for the Fever this year that they've gotten the resurrection contracts where they're just like, hey, you come on board. Odyssey Sims, come on down. The Fever are 1-1 versus the Aces. The Lynx are 1-1 versus the Mercury. Is there any, I'm going to say no, but is there any chance we get a Mercury Fever WNBA series?
I don't think so now, but I will say, you know, I know we didn't necessarily touch on the last round there, but the Aces were on the brink of elimination there. And I do think, you know, as well as the Storm were playing, like, I do think the Fever would have had a much better opportunity to take the Storm out in that second round there. And, you know, we may have ultimately seen a Fever and Mercury finals, which would have been kind of wild, just given, you know, everything that's happened to the Fever at this point. But game one, they came out. I don't want to say they necessarily shocked the Aces, but they shocked me. I was not expecting them to win that game there. But then game two last night, you ultimately saw the Aces were the Aces. They look like the more dominant team because that's who they are. The Fever starting five, they put up decent numbers. There wasn't necessarily, bad games on their part, but Alyssa Smith and Asia Wilson really took care of business and, held down the paint and really put their stamp on that game there. So I'm really curious to see how the series ultimately ends up there. I still like the Aces there. Like, I would be truly stunned if the Fever pulled that series out. But on the flip side of it, though, the Mercury and the Lynx, like, I think that series is going to go 5. And I think, it's going to be a very, very, entertaining series to watch. Because I was right there with you when we were talking about this last week. I was like, the Mercury are going to give the Liberty a run for their money. We both picked them to win game 2 and said, anything can happen there in game 3. So I'm right there with you. I think that Mercury team is loaded and they have what it takes to beat that Lynx team.
100%. And, when you look at that Mercury team, it's deep. There's a lot of players that can show up night after night. You look at Satu Sabali, that was an all-star this year. Alyssa Thomas, MVP, like finalist almost every year. DeWanna Bonner, the 3rd leading scorer in WNBA history, like years of experience. She's coming off the bench for them. Kalia Copper, Philadelphia's own Kalia Copper, Olympian, that team is loaded with talent and they're gritty and they're tough and they play basketball the right way. Why you want to watch the way basketball should be played? Watch a Phoenix Mercury game. That team was literally written off before the season started. And now they're tied with the Minnesota Lynx in going into game 3 and going back to Phoenix, right? So they can win both games at home, and that series is over. We don't get to game 5.
I'm also curious to know, too, because it got announced since after we went on air. We were kind of tracking the MVP race throughout the entirety of the season there, and it got announced, and I wouldn't say it was a shock, but it got announced that Asia Wilson has won her 4th MVP in 5 years. I just think it's so crazy, and I'm curious to hear your take on it. It's crazy how we saw Asia go on this run. The last 3-4 weeks of the season, we're like, Asia's playing out of her mind. And I remember when Fee first went down, we were asking each other, like, is there somebody who can potentially take this trophy from her? And at the time, it was like, all right, maybe Alyssa can. Asia has the outside shot, but, we feel like she's done, a ton this year to have that MVP. But Asia really just came and, the Aces weren't losing games and Asia was playing out of her mind throughout the entire stretch there. I know you weren't surprised by Asia getting the MVP, but I guess reactions to seeing that she took home the award for the 4th time in 5 years there.
I wasn't shocked, but I was shocked on how it happened, right? I think that's like the greatest odds I've ever seen overcome for an MVP like 10 days before the season was over. I think she was still plus 1,000 with 10 days left in the season. And, I think there was like 2 games left. She became the favorite. And that 15-game winning streak was just like, I think it was 17 it ended at. But that winning streak that they went on, they were beating everybody. Yep. They clinched the 2 seed. Got to give credit where credit's due. She was dominant. She was putting 30.15 rebound nights up every other night. She's the best player in the league. I thought this was the year that Fee would win the MVP. But, got to give credit where credit's due. Asia balled her ass off.
All right, so before we move on here, who you got WNBA Finals?
I want to see Aces Lynx. I think that's the best series. But part of me just wants to continue riding that Phoenix Mercury. I'll go Aces Lynx. Give me Lynx over Aces in the finals.
All right, so I'm going Aces, but I'm on the flip side of you. I'm on the flip side of you in that Minnesota series. I'm going with the Mercury. I think that Alyssa Thomas take care of business and ultimately get them to the WNBA finals. But I like the Aces over the Mercury in the WNBA finals. I think Asia is just she's just on another planet right now. And I know they had a couple scares there. And in reality, they really should have lost to that Storm team. They tried their hardest to lose that game. But ultimately they got it done there. So I like the Aces though.
I'll say this, and we can talk about the MVP, the best player in basketball, all we want in Asia Wilson. But you watch that game 5 when they went up against game 3 where they went up against Seattle. Asia missed that shot. Asia missed that shot. That wasn't Asia that won that basketball game. I mean, she was incredible all game, but that was it Chelsea Gray?
No, I think it was Jackie Young.
Jackie Young. I don't know why I get that mixed up. Jackie Young with the tip shot at the end of the game. And then Erica Wheeler pull up, didn't work. Skylar got the rebound, didn't get a shot off. It was a great, great series.
It was. It definitely was. All right. Anything else WNBA before we move?
No, I'm ready. I'm ready for a Lynx versus Aces series. I think that would be great basketball.
It would. I will say that I would not be disappointed with the Aces versus either of these two. With the Fever, I feel like they're a great story. And if Caitlin was playing, I would love to see them in the WNBA finals with that group. But I just feel like if the Fever did make it, whoever they saw on that side would take them out. So I'm hoping.
You've been saying that all year, though. They just keep scrapping.
I know. It's got to come to an end at some point, though, right?
Look, got to give credit where credit's due, man.
Absolutely.
That team has absolutely played their ass off. Kelsey Mitchell has been incredible. Leah Boston, Natasha Howard. Love the squad.
Without a doubt. But sticking with basketball, but going over to the college men's side of the game here. Bruce Pearl, head coach of Auburn, has announced that he is retiring. Bruce Pearl had been the coach of Auburn, I believe, for 10 seasons, and he was 244 and 123. He had a 665 winning percentage there. Auburn is just coming off of an appearance in the Final Four. I would say this was kind of a surprising thing to hear. But Gene, what were your thoughts on Bruce Pearl ultimately deciding to retire?
I mean, listen, I hate when one of the best coaches in basketball retires. It sucks. Bruce Pearl I wanted to see him win the big one. I thought last year was his opportunity to do that. Look, at the end of the day, he's passing the torch on to his son. I can't argue with that, but I felt like he had a lot of coach left in him.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that after seeing after seeing how much he got out of his players last season, and I get it, they did lose a ton. Like, you lose Broome, obviously, to the league there. They had a couple seniors on the roster there as well. Maybe he just felt like he didn't want to essentially rebuild the program up again, or just kind of go through those growing pains again. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to leave it to you. The program's in good hands. Like you said, his son Steven is taking over the program there. My question to you, though, with that, though, is any issues with them keeping it in-house and just giving it to Pearl's kid?
No, because what's eventually going to happen, right? You know what will eventually happen he'll have a real short leash, right? It'll be something like that. Like, I have no issue with him passing it down to his son. I think that's like the easy handoff, but don't expect Auburn to stay with his son long if they're not winning basketball games.
But that's the thing, though. The last 10 years, Auburn has been a very relevant basketball team. So I think that the pressure will be on right away. And, to your point, I do think that the leash will be short. But I don't know, man. I think this is – I'm worried in a sense because it feels like every single year we have this older coach that's taken the step away. Like, you had Jay Wright obviously take the step away. Coach K did it. Bruce Pearl's doing it. And I get it. The coaches are older and, you don't necessarily expect them to coach forever. Roy Williams as well. But it makes me question, like, is NIL really the cause of this? Or is it just one of those things where it just so happens that, all these guys are kind of going out in this same kind of interval here?
I think NIL has a lot to do with it, right? I think that's why Saban stepped away. I think that's why Jay Wright stepped away. I don't think that's why Bruce Pardo stepped away. I just don't. I feel like he had a lot of fifth-year seniors. He had a lot of people that were staying there. I felt like he could continue building the program the way he wanted. I don't think that's why he stepped away.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely get it. I think that's fair. The only other thing that I wanted to kind of touch on is, it's September now, and I get it. They're keeping it in house. Like, again, it's going to his son, but it's September now. Like, you would think that a decision like this should have been made a little bit sooner, just to kind of give you more options, things like that. You cool with the timing of it?
Well, I think he made the timing of it to give them no option than to hire his son.
Well, I mean,
that's
for sure.
That's what I thought that was, right? I'm not cool with the timing of it, but it's a great card to play. It's like I have that draw 4 Uno card. You're getting down to one card. Oh, draw 4. There's nothing much they can do in that situation. They've already been recruited, and then you pass it down, passing the torch. Like I'll bet you Bruce is still involved.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure he'll be there from time to time and, show up to practices and stuff like that. Absolutely. But I was curious on your thoughts there. I wanted to see if we were going to get into the whole nepotism discussion, but, didn't get there. So we'll leave it alone
because of what they did. Like, it could have been nepotism if he got somebody the job at different, university with no experience. Because of him retiring on his own terms and passing the torch to his son as late as he did, it's September. The college basketball recruiting's done.
Yeah, I mean, his son has only coached ever under him. He's never held a job at anywhere else or been a head coach. So I was just curious. I just wanted to see if we were going to throw the word out there, but we didn't. We'll see how he does at Auburn, and ultimately go from there. But just
I'm looking forward to this next part, bro.
But just again, sticking with the theme of coaches here and no longer having jobs, we're moving over to the gridiron. Oklahoma State has decided to fire Mike Gundy from his position there. Now, the funny thing about it is if you look up, the announcements and things like that, it says that they mutually agreed to part ways and things like that. But 4 games into a season, Oklahoma State has looked awful in those 4 games. The writing is on the wall there. He 100% got fired from this position here. He has been their coach since 2005. And just 3 years ago, they were in the Big 12 championship, 1 game away from clinching a berth in the college football playoff. Gene, thoughts, reactions to Mike Gundy getting the boot from Oklahoma State?
Athletic director Chad Weberg had some fun comments with reporters earlier today. He said, I expected the results of this season to be different than they've been so far. That goes back to the expectation level that Coach Gundy has set for this program. We have higher expectations than that. So when it just appeared that was not going to be met, it felt like for the good of the program, it was the time to make the decision so that we could start the process of getting the program where we want it to be. When you have a coach that's coached for you for 20 years, you do not fire them 3 games into a season. That's not how that works. Fire him at the end of last season. If you're that, if your hook on that coach is that short, 20-year coach, fire him at the end of last season. No chance that, and by the way, if I'm a coach looking at Oklahoma State, I'm sure there's an up-and-coming guy that's going to move from Duke to like a lot of these coaches do, right? They move from a mid-tier top program to a top-tier program like Oklahoma State can be. This is a joke. I would look at that and understand that there was a guy that coached there for 20 years and he got fired after 3 games. Yeah, they look bad. I think a lot of it had to do with the polarizing personality of who he was.
That's what you sign up for, though.
But see, the thing is, this comes on the heels of him running his mouth about Oregon and Dan Lanning and them getting their ass beat by Oregon by 45 points. And then, he's complaining about the program. They don't have no more money to spend than Oregon does. So the athletic director took that shit personal and fired him. That's exactly how I see it.
I mean, I definitely I mean, I definitely think they took it personal, but to your point though, I mean, 20 years at a program like that's a lot. And it's not like they had been bad for, a sizable amount of time. Like I said, 2 years ago, like they were on the cusp, or 3 years ago, they were on the cusp of a college football, playoff appearance there. And that's in the 14 playoff. I just think Mike Gundy's one of those guys where if you want to, mutually part ways, that's cool. You do that after the season or before the season. And I see Bill, commented, said he was subtly taking shots at his own program. I get it. As a coach, though, like, who Mike Gundy is. Like Mike Gundy has made it no secret of who he's going to be when he's talking to the media, or if he has something on his mind that he's going to go out there and express it. So I can't even validate that being a reason to get rid of him in the middle of the season there after, what he's done for that program. And yes, success has not been there, but he has earned the right. Just like, you would never see Iowa fire their coach. Kirk Ferentz has been there for, ever. You would never see Iowa ultimately just give him the boot in the middle of a season. Anybody who's, been there, we saw how bad Bill was, the last couple years in New England, and they let it ride on out. They gave him a nice little press conference, and I get it. Bill's obviously, Gundy's not on Bill's level as caliber of a coach, but, tenure should definitely matter there. And I feel like they did Gundy dirty, and, I'm very curious to see where both parties head moving forward here, because Gundy, I don't know what program wants to take the risk on him as far as, I think it'll be like a lower program that's like, all right, Mike Gundy, they can come in, change our program around, but at the same time, we don't want him saying the crazy shit in the media. Like, we don't want to deal with that on the back end there. So I feel like options will be limited there. But on the flip side of it, though, Oklahoma State's opening, you talk about an up-and-coming coach coming and take that job. I tell you what, right now, if somehow, some way shit hits the fan at Penn State, I tell you right now, your defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, will be the guy to take some phone calls from Oklahoma State trying to get a head coaching position. I will tell you that right now.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. Him trying to get a head coaching job at Oklahoma State. But I know you're taking a little pot shots at the guy that left your program. But look, at the end of the day, Mike Gundy was there for 20 years, and I think that what Oklahoma State did was wrong. I think that you let him ride out on the season, or you fire him before the season. And Shalley said, no, so I don't want to be a head coach. I know it's a pot shot because he's, upset that he left Ohio State.
Oh, I'm not upset. Matt Patricia has our defense looking even better. So, I mean,
Patricia.
I appreciate
that dude's a bum.
I mean, he's got the best defense in the country right now. So what can I say?
But Jim Knowles is the guys.
Jim Knowles' guys went to the league.
All right, well, let's talk some real football.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the league.
Man, we got to talk about last week. One of the craziest weeks I've seen in football in a long time. I was going nuts. I was absolutely ecstatic. Let's start. I mean, last Thursday's game, screw it. Waste my time. Buffalo was going to win that football game. But let's start with the crazy 1 o'clock hour that was. The Jets, Browns, and Eagles all block huge field goals for game-tying, game-winning, or go-ahead touchdowns in their games. That is absolutely – when was the last time you've seen that? In a 1 o'clock hour?
Never.
The red zone was going nuts, right? I'm watching Scott Anson as I'm watching the Eagles, and they're going ballistic, right? I got a chance to go back to watch that Browns. Let's start with your squad because I want to give you the opportunity for your roses. I got a chance to watch that Browns-Packers game. Jordan Love made some of the dumbest plays I've ever seen a starting quarterback make. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying he had a concussion, but that Browns defensive line absolutely demoralized that Packers O-line. They laid out the blueprint of what it was. That was bad, man. I watched that game, And I'm like, this is absolute insanity how this thing broke down. It's 10-0 Packers. Game's over. Browns can't score. They get first and goal. They get stuffed. They kick a field goal. What was it, a 30-yard field goal? They got dropped back like 20 yards from first and goal. Then Jordan Love throws a terrible pick. And the Browns score a touchdown almost immediately. Then the Packers get them in field goal range, and they're going to kick a field goal with like 30 seconds left. I think it was 37 seconds left on the clock. And the field goal gets blocked, and all you see is the Browns, who had massive field goal kicking issues week 1. You get a guy that Fitz, what the hell's his last name?
Smits
kicks a 55-yarder walk-off in Cleveland. That was awesome to watch. How did you feel watching your team dominate the line of scrimmage? Number one defense in football right now, Cleveland Browns.
Absolutely. It's funny, too, because I feel like, honestly, we probably share a lot of the same emotions watching our respective teams play on Saturday. Yeah. I would say the first 3 quarters were the most frustrating thing I had ever seen, because it was like, just simple stuff. Like Stefanski deciding to run it on 3rd and 7 instead of, just trying to get first downs, or, being in range of like a 50 to 55-yard field goal, not even attempting it, going for it on 4th and 11 at the end of the half instead of trying to kick a field goal, stuff like that, like just bothering you the whole game. Defense was balling though. Defense had played incredible really all game there. Josh Jacobs had been held in check, and they really never had a run game going there. But then that 4th quarter came, and like you said, the defensive line was absolutely getting after the quarterback there. And, it's funny because on that the possession of the blocked field goal, literally just a couple plays before, Josh Jacobs fumbled the ball clear as day. And for whatever reason, the officials didn't determine who had the recovery after it. So they said he was down on the field. They didn't even determine, if he wasn't down, who would have had the clear recovery. So they said it stood as no fumble. Then they went off and got the kick blocked there. So it was really one of those cases of ball don't lie. So I was excited watching it. I was losing my mind watching it, couldn't believe it. And seeing a kid miss an extra point and a 37-yard field goal against the Bengals and then come out and hit a walk-off 55-yard field goal was absolutely insane.
Look, Andre Schmitz, whatever. The guy is the hero in this football game, hitting that 55-yarder. Cleveland scores 13 points in the 4th quarter to win the game. I'm going to selfishly talk about another game. Can I selfishly bring up my own agenda? Guys, I'm sorry. I don't know who I have to say it to. Listen to me. Someone needs to get Brian Flores a head coaching job. It's insane what he's done to that Minnesota Vikings defense. Isaiah Rodgers, you know it's the first time ever in the history of PFF someone scored a 99.9 PFF grade.
Did see that.
Never seen it before. He has a pick 6, a fumble recovery 6. That defense is playing on another level of football. And it sucks that J.J. McCarthy was terrible for 7 quarters, because that team would be 3-0. Brian Flores needs a fucking head coaching job. Give him a call. He's available. The guy needs to be your head coach. Because that Viking, look, Carson, I watched that football game. I was hoping to see Carson Wentz be like, Carson Wentz, same Carson Wentz, holding the ball way too long. But like when you get so many turnovers and you're up and you're running the football and you're throwing against 8-man boxes constantly, it looks a lot better. And nothing against Carson. He didn't play bad. But that game was won 100%. Every time I turned around, there was another turnover. Browning interception, fumble. Browning interception, fumble. Like, it was crazy. Get Brian Flores a head coaching job. Can we start a website? Alex, get the website up. Get Brian Flores a head coaching job.com.
I'm with it. And it's funny because, we look at the Dolphins and you talk about a team that's quit on their head coach, and it is never been more apparent than watching that team trot out there on the field. And, to their credit, they looked more competitive against the Bills, I guess you could say. But I mean, more competitive than what they had been looking like really isn't saying too much there. And there's so much dysfunction in the locker room. Brian Flores would have never stood for some of the stuff that you're seeing come out of that Dolphins camp there. So absolutely needs to be a head coach. I'm right there with you.
I got it for you. It's right there. We're going to start the website. Get Brian Flores a head coaching job.com. Hireflores.com. I'm with it. It's crazy. Look at what the softer approach for McDaniel has led to.
Anarchy.
Agree with Kyle.
Led to anarchy.
Early MVP talks is so odd hearing Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, Sam Darnold, and the usuals in Baker. The usuals in Baker Mayfield. Whew. Josh Allen, Mac Jones might sneak. Mac Jones, stop it.
Can we talk about that though? Like because I'm sure we're going to talk about the Jets and Bucks game just because of how wild it was at the end 100%. There.
Wild 1 o'clock hour. Jets were getting smashed. By the way, I am so annoyed with the people that are giving Aaron Glenn shit for being happy on the sideline after the blocked field goal.
For sure.
Like, he's allowed to be happy. They just came back from 16 down.
With the backup quarterback.
100%. And Tyrod Taylor, that's another game. That's an ugly game to watch, by the way. I watched that on all 22.
Yep.
If they, I mean this, if they told Tyrod Taylor to throw the football in the first half as opposed to him just running every time, it's like he didn't trust his eyes. It took him a whole half to trust his eyes and throw the football. They win that football game. And Emeka Egbuka was incredible in that game. I'll put my hand up. I was wrong about Emeka Egbuka. I got to stop doing that about Ohio State wide receivers. They go in the league and they're absolute studs. Carmen brings it at this point. This point is solid. Remember, Dolphins players were celebrating when Fangio left. I agree 100%. Now he's the defensive coordinator, the best team in football.
I was going to ask you. So you watched the game fully, and I know you've watched the Bucks the last couple of weeks here as well. So Baker has been, I feel like he's been the clutch player of the year so far. Like clutch time, he's like that guy. Like the last 2 minutes, he needs to drive to end the game. He's been good. But I saw John mention earlier, Baker being in MVP talks. If we're being honest, Baker is fun. Like I'll give, as much as I don't like Baker, Baker is fun. He'll give you the antics and, he's been putting his money where his mouth is in the fourth quarter. But as a whole, Baker hasn't been crazy impressive so far this year. And I saw a stat that was saying, from PFF, how Baker doesn't have any turnovers. And, a lot of people are saying like he's cut down on the turnover bug. Well, he's got the most turnover worthy plays of any quarterback that's played the first 3 games so far this season. So I was curious on you. Is it me being a hater, or is Baker been playing lights out and I'm just not giving him credit for it?
So this is what I mean about watching the football game versus actually just going by stats. So like Baker has no turnovers. That's a guy that hasn't watched a football game. Baker throwing the ball directly to in between a corner and a safety on the New York Jets and them running into each other and the ball falling on the ground is a turnover play. It's absolute. All right, I'll give you an example, right? I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan. We've talked about this numerous times. Week 2, if you watch the Jaguars-Bengals, Trevor Lawrence always has a terrible interception in that game, and it gets highlighted, gets played. Every game he plays, he has a ridiculously stupid interception. Every single one. I don't know where they come from. But let's go back to that game for a minute. They put the game away. They ice the game. He throws a touchdown pass to De'Ami Brown. I don't know if you've seen this play. I don't think there was a player within 5 yards of him, and he was in the end zone. And he hit him here, right under the chin, in between the numbers, right here. I think De'Ami Brown was figuring out what he was going to do for his touchdown celebration and drops the ball. Okay, well, we're going to go for it on 4th down. He hits Brian Thomas Jr., the best receiver on the team, right here on fourth
I
down.
didn't see that one.
And he drops the ball. Bro, it's two of the worst drops ever. And then the Bengals go on to win the game. And it's like, Trevor Lawrence blows the game. Dude, did he have a bad pick in that game? Absolutely. But that bad pick doesn't happen if the touchdown pass is caught and it's the most obvious. That's what I mean by watching the game. So what you're talking about with Baker Mayfield has ice water in his veins at the end of the game. He's 3 for 3 in game-winning drives this year. The Texans came all the way back, took the lead. Baker drove him down. By the way, genius. Let's talk about Todd Bowles allowing him to score that touchdown at the end of the game on Monday Night Football. That was insane. Super smart. And then Tampa Bay goes down and scores a touchdown. And in this situation, you're up the whole game. You blow a 16-point lead. They block the field goal. They go back to win the football. Jets win, right? He throws an absolute dot to Mecca Buka down the sideline to put them in field goal range to win the football game. Baker has been great in the last 3 minutes of every football game he's played in. But if you watch the other 45, 60 minutes. If you watch the other 57, he's been pedestrian at best. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that. I think Baker's a good quarterback. I'm not hating on Baker Mayfield. But watching that game fully, there's a reason why the Jets came back from being down 16 points.
For sure. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just me, because I had been seeing it. I've been seeing a bunch of the talks. Baker bona fide top 10 quarterback, and all of this, and then of course John mentioned it.
Quarterback. You have to admit that. I'm sorry. You have to admit he's a bona fide top 10 quarterback.
I mean, I think he's in the discussion down there.
No. Hold on. I love you, bro. I need you to get the Cleveland hate out of your head for a minute. What this man's done the last 3 years in Tampa Bay, 2 years and 3 games, he's a top 10 quarterback. I'll give you an example of what I mean, right? We're not going to make any argument over the Big Four. The Big Four are all better than Baker Mayfield. Jalen Hurts better than Baker Mayfield. Matthew Stafford better than Baker Mayfield. That's you got 6 right there.
And Herbert, without a doubt.
Well, what do you mean, and Herbert without a doubt? I think Justin Herbert's better than Baker Mayfield, but Justin Herbert. See, this is what I can't stand. Winning only matters when the other quarterback has not won a Super Bowl, right? Because if Baker Mayfield wins a playoff game or plays good in the playoffs, it doesn't matter because he didn't win the Super Bowl when Justin Herbert's been awful in both playoff games he played in. For 3 games through the season, Justin Herbert's been better than Baker Mayfield. Fine. We'll go Justin Herbert. Then where do you go? Are you telling me Jaden Daniels is clearly better than Baker Mayfield? I'm not.
I mean, I've seen Jaden play for a quarter and a half. Well, not a quarter, but a game and a half this season.
Okay, so my point is, you're not saying Jaden's better than him. So
I mean, I'm not saying definitively no, but I'm saying there's guys that are in that conversation. That again, there are guys that are in that conversation. You got Jared Goff, you got Jaden, you got Jordan Love. Regardless of what you saw last game, against the Browns. You watched
Jordan Love play 4 quarters of football.
I did.
Baker Mayfield. You tell me if you put Baker Mayfield on that Packers team that the Packers don't win that game?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm
asking you. They're 3-0 with Baker Mayfield, right?
I'll tell you what. If you put Jordan Love on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they win the division the last 3 years. So I mean, like, situations definitely matter. I'm not going to say they don't, but I'm just saying Baker is in that conversation of guys. If someone said Jordan Love is better than Baker Mayfield, I wouldn't go, oh, that guy's an idiot. Like, I would say that's a conversation. Like, it depends on what you value.
Top 10, bro. I love you. He's top 10. I don't want to. And listen, I was on the Baker Mayfield isn't that great train until the middle of last year.
I'm not saying and I've always been the guy. I've said it from the jump. I said Baker is not a bad quarterback. Baker is not a quarterback that's going to win you a Super Bowl. And that's why I said I've always been okay with the Browns moving on and going to get Deshaun Watson, because at the time he was a quarterback that could have won you a Super Bowl. Like, he was that good in the moment. So I was good with that. I've never said Baker is a bad quarterback, and I still don't think he's a bad quarterback. I'm just saying he's in that group of guys, like after those 7 guys that we talked about, like he's in there in a group of those guys.
Okay. Going to talk about the Philadelphia. Stop it with Geno Smith. Get the hell out of here. I don't want. I know you're kidding. Baker's top 10. I agree with you, Kyle. All right. I'm going to get to the game. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. And that first half of football, and I'll say 2.5 quarters, because the first drive of the second half wasn't great either. Philadelphia Eagles are absolutely calling one of the worst games I've ever seen the offense coordinator call. The Rams' strategy in that football game is Saquon Barkley's not beating us. And the Philadelphia Eagles were playing terrible football. And I'm telling you right now, I am convinced that either Nick took play calling away from I'm sorry, he sucks so bad I forgot his name right now. I cannot believe I'm afraid. Kevin Patullo. I know his name. Sorry. Either he took play calling away from Kevin Patullo or Jalen Hurts. Now, when I rewatched the game, in the first half, Jalen Hurts checked. Now, I don't know if he audibled out, but checked 3 times the whole half. In the second half, how many times do you think he checked at the line of scrimmage?
No clue. 10?
11. It's a big difference.
For sure.
I don't know if Jalen was just audibling at the line of scrimmage or if Nick took over play calling, but there's no way you're convincing me the same guy called both halves of football. And if you needed to watch the first 4 drives for you to change something up on the 5th drive and the 6th drive, I don't know what the hell you're watching. It was so obvious they needed to throw the ball to A.J. Brown that the announcers, Greg Olson's doing a great job. Being like, what are they doing? Why are they not? Like, you got a guy here who's a dog. Now in Philadelphia, they're talking. Do you think Barkley's lost this step? No, they're just stacking the box. It's so obvious what they're doing versus Philadelphia. And I don't know why it took to the second half for the Eagles to start passing the football. But when they started passing the football, Jalen showed everybody he can still throw the football.
That's what, because of course, it was at the same time as the Browns game. And so, like, I was trying to check in on it, and it almost felt like they were treating Jalen like he was a rookie quarterback. Like, they were trying to get him not to lose the football game. They're like, oh, we got this Rams team. They made the playoffs last year. We know you have weapons out here, but we want to play, really conservative here, and we don't want you to lose us the football game. And then I saw the interaction on the sideline between Jalen and the OC, and it looked like he lit him up there, and it seems like that was when it started to turn around, like shortly thereafter. So I was curious to know your take on the game there, and ultimately how that went. And I'm curious to know if it was the case of let's say the OC called both sides of both halves, I should say. Did Nick go to Jalen and was like, hey, if you see something, check into whatever you think works best here. Like, you're a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You're a Super Bowl MVP. Like, we trust your eyes out there. If you see something better than what we're calling, like, check to that on the field. Like, take advantage of your matchups, essentially. So I'm curious, has anyone in the Philly media asked? Have they kind of shied away from it, or?
Bro, Jalen Hurts, I need to show you something. I need to show the listener something. Maybe you didn't see this. Jalen Hurts is a complete psychopath. So I want to show you this. If you don't know, if you haven't seen this, I think I've shared this with you, Cottrell, but I don't think I don't think that listeners have seen this. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
This was Jalen Hurts watching the game-winning block. I want you to see this real quick.
On one big cake, Eagles hang. Looks for the icing on one big cake. Eagles hang on. Looks for the icing on one big cake. Eagles hang.
My man is an absolute psychopath. He is not reacting at all. They block the kick, and he just is the most base stoic face. You wouldn't know if they won or lost the game if you just looked at Jalen's face. He's a psycho. Let's talk about the chat, right? Matt, this is a problem with the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, I love Just Allen, but Matt Pryor's been cut 7 times. Them making the move to Fred Johnson was one of the biggest moves of the game. By the way, hang around for a minute because I got some good things to say about your squad in a minute. The story from offensive players is consistent. A.J. Brown has been the loudest. Got to let the dogs eat. Jalen has kind of avoided throwing him under the bus all week by answering that question. Absolutely. The Eagles' offense this week, I am so interested to see. I'll put it this way, right? Take the under Philadelphia first half.
Did they repeat?
Take the under Philadelphia first half.
I'm saying, you think it's a repeat performance of what you saw last week?
I'll tell you, Todd Bowles owns Jalen Hurts. And if they have a game plan going into the game, I do not feel comfortable with Kevin Patullo giving you a game plan to beat Todd Bowles. I just don't feel comfortable. Todd Bowles owns Jalen Hurts. Owns him. It's 3 straight times. That becomes a trend.
It does, but I mean, it's not like the only reason why I would push back on it a little bit as a whole, because it's not like Todd Bowles was doing anything special. Like the last time that we saw, them match up there, it was, all right, we're gonna run cover 0, we're gonna attack them, and they don't have AJ playing this week, and so we're not afraid of any of the receivers. I think that now, and granted, it wasn't that long ago. That was what, 2 seasons ago. Was it last year? Oh yeah, the regular season last year. I'm thinking about the playoff game though, with no AJ. But I mean, you have. I would hope that Jalen has the experience now to say, hey, we should know what to expect. They're a familiar foe. We should know what to expect, and really just go from there. I think last year everything was it was early still. That was only 4th game with Kellen Moore, 4th game with Saquon. Like things were still kind of clicking there. For me, I feel like this year, absolutely no excuse to not know essentially what's coming at you.
Bro, I don't know how we keep getting scheduled September games at Tampa. It's like 3 years in a row. And it's going to be 103 on the field. I don't know how it keeps happening. I will not pick that football game. I almost put it as one of my picks because, you're going to go no Mike Evans. There's no Chris Godwin. The Eagles defense should easily be able to handle Baker Mayfield and that Bucs offense this week. But I have no confidence in the Eagles moving the football versus the Todd Bowles defense. I just don't. Fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times. Not fool me 4 times. 3 straight times. He's dominated him. Let's talk about the 4 o'clock games. There's only one of note. The other games stunk. How about them Cowboys? The Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams absolutely ran the Cowboys out of the building. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson looked exactly the way we thought they would look going into the season. Is this what is more to come for the Bears, or is this just the Cowboys being the Cowboys?
I hate to toe the fence here, but I think it's a little bit of both. I think if you're a Bears fan or just, had high hopes for that Bears team, I think that matchup Sunday gave you the blueprint of what it's supposed to look like. Hey, this is what we're looking for on these certain type of plays. Like when the DB does this is what we want to do. We want to try and establish the run. This ultimately sets up this run action, ultimately sets up this particular pass option and things like that. So I think that gave them a great opportunity to open up their playbook and give Caleb the valuable reps in that Ben Johnson offense. But on the flip side of it, though, is as much as I had been given Trevon Diggs praise of being a great corner and overcoming his shortcomings, even when having the million interceptions in the one season, he has definitely regressed. I don't know if it's a health thing. I don't know, what's necessarily going on with him, but he does not look like a number 1 cornerback at all anymore. Dallas' defensive line had no pressure on Caleb pretty much all game. It's a lack of talent on the defensive side of the ball. There's no other way to say it. And then CD getting hurt on the dumbest play that you could have. Why is CD running, taking a running back snap out of the backfield? Absolutely crazy. He gets hurt right away. Dallas's offense really had no rhythm after that. So I think this is going to be a lot of more to come for the Cowboys. But I also think this was one of those games that I think the Bears offense can really build on, and you may see it start clicking more often here.
Because the national media spends so much time glazing the Kansas City Chiefs, I want to skip over that game. And I'm sure you'll be okay with that. It was the most boring Sunday night game ever. And the only part of that game I want to talk about is how bad Russell Wilson threw the ball outside the back of the end zone. It did look like a beast, Cam Scatterbo. If you were in a fantasy football league, trade for him now. That dude looks like a monster. I haven't seen one guy tackle him all year by himself.
And Jackson Dart's about to be the starting quarterback too, which will open up more read options. I mean, you saw they had him in spells and things like that, certain packages, but him being back there full time with him and the injury to Tracy, Scatterbo is about to be a force to be reckoned with.
I'm about to call out one of my favorite players, Cottrell.
Uh-oh.
I'm about to call out one of my favorite players. Who's my favorite linebacker in football?
Oh, yeah. Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith was a blocking shed.
He was terrible. I watched that game twice now. Let me say this, right? If you're a Detroit Lions fan, Monday night is the game in which you can say, I told you so. This team does not need Aaron Glenn. This team does not need Ben Johnson. They have the system, they have the scheme, they have the attitude, and they will build from within. I didn't expect it. If you're a Lions fan, watching them demoralize the Ravens defense by running the ball down their throat, David Montgomery, I'll tell you this, right? Yeah, you've been to high school before. You ever meet the kid that's scared of the bully in school?
Of course.
And that kid, avoids the bully at all costs.
Like the plague.
And Roquan Smith was avoiding Penei Sewell. I'm not – listen, Penei Sewell is incredible. If he's not the best right tackle in football, he's top two. Probably isn't two. Penei Sewell is an incredible offensive lineman. You can't be one of the highest paid linebackers in football, and he's looked like trash. Last year was a bad year for Roquan Smith. This year's worse. He looked like the blocking sheds where they have, they push the shed. It was like he was glued to a lineman. I've never seen anything like it. And they're running the ball directly at him. They're like, you seen bitch in him. It was bad. I love Roquan Smith. You know how much I love Roquan Smith.
For sure.
The Lions demoralized that team with the run game. You want to hear a funny thing? I seen somebody say something after the game about Lamar Jackson. And I asked them a question. I'm going to ask you the same question. I think you know the answer to both, but that's okay. What quarterback has the highest rushing yards per game in NFL history?
I would imagine Lamar Jackson.
Okay. What quarterback has the highest passer rating in the NFL, in NFL history?
I actually know that answer is also Lamar Jackson.
So I don't want to hear that Lamar Jackson is the problem. One more time. Now, did he take some bad sacks in that game? The Lions defense played incredible contain. They weren't going to let him get around the edge. They're just like, keep going backwards. We'll just keep surrounding you. He kept trying to escape, and they kept playing edge. You're not getting around us. Did he take some bad sacks? Absolutely. But I want to give credit where credit's due. The Lions bullied them. And I just didn't see that coming. Did you see that coming Monday night?
I didn't see it coming either. I will say though, I was definitely not expecting them to get bullied the way that they did. I thought it would be more of one of those chess matches. I thought the Ravens would ultimately win the game, but I didn't think it would go as one-sided as it was in terms of the battle of the trenches. Because on the flip side of, like, you talk about the Lions and their ability to keep contained, I think it's a tale of two things, right? So, yes, Lamar took some bad sacks in that game. I think the Lions had, 7, 8 sacks in that game. It was a incredibly high number, and some of those sacks ultimately do go on Lamar, but also they had offensive linemen literally getting beat like a drum that entire football game. So it's almost like Lamar didn't trust his protection there, so he was always trying to go out and make a play. So which doesn't make it right, but it's like they just weren't in sync the entire night. And then on the flip side of it, you don't hand the ball off to Derrick Henry as much as you probably should. And, I get it. He had to fumble late. And, at that point, it felt like they stopped trusting him. They stopped giving him the ball. And he's had a fumble in each of these first 3 games here. But fumbles happen. Derrick Henry is your bell cow. He is, all-world player. You have to continue to get him touches there. He's one of those guys where, he's going to get you some yards. So I think the Ravens as a whole, I hate to say it, it almost feels like they have an identity problem. Like, I don't know what they are offensively. I don't know what they are. It seems like this year it's Lamar, go out there, figure it out. Defensively, it's all right. We have all these stud players. Who was Ray Lewis? Ray Lewis, I think, came out and said, you don't even got to coach these guys. They're going to be great out there on the field. And we've seen throughout the first 3 weeks of the season that, of course, the Browns being the anomaly game because their offense absolutely stinks. But you give up 40 to the Bills in week 1. You damn near give up 40 to the Lions in week 3. This is a problem. And the problem is that this was the Ravens defense the first 11 weeks of the season last year. And so although they added talent, like, they need to figure it out before week 11 next year, because clearly they will continue to lose football games if they're scoring 30-plus points and still losing the game.
Non-quarterback runs on Monday Night Football, 34-12. 34 running plays. And by the way, I want to address this. I love you, Kneecap Bite. I really do. So I said that Monday Night Football game would be won by who scored first. Well, that didn't matter because the Ravens were up 21-14. So it didn't matter who scored first. The Ravens were winning the game, 21-14. Marlon Humphrey can't cover anymore. I don't disagree with that. They try to beat teams at thing that the other team is good at instead of playing. I get it. I can't understand a game in which it was a game all the way until the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Like, it was a game the whole game, how Derrick Henry only runs the ball 12 times.
Absolutely.
I don't understand how it happens.
And it wasn't like they were ever out of it. So it was, it's one thing if you get down.
Ran the ball poorly, ran the ball 12 times for 50 yards, ran for 4 yards a carry. That's not bad football. I want to be very clear when I say this. I want to double check because I don't want to say something stupid. But I just want to double check something because I'm almost sure I'm right here. Saquon Barkley ran the ball 18 times for 46 yards. He was not running the ball efficiently and ran at 2.6 yards per carry. He had 6 more carries than Derrick Henry did. And the Eagles were down 19 points. You can't do that. That's not football. That's dumb.
Definitely is dumb.
I love the trick play. That trick play on the touchdown to Gibbs, genius play call. Loved it. The pitch from Amon-Ra to Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah,
great.
No, that was fire. And I will say, as a whole, like, they ran another one too. They ran a double. It was a double pass. Like, I saw Montgomery threw it to Goff, and then they threw it down to Amon-Ra. for completion. So I mean, the playbook definitely seems like it was, Dan Campbell was in the room with them, or that whoever had the creative mind, that didn't necessarily leave with Ben Johnson there. So we're only 3 weeks in. I'm almost certain I'm gonna be saying the words I was wrong about the lines this year. Like I'm almost
100%.
I'm almost certain that that's going to happen.
I feel like that after last week too. I did not have on my bingo card this week. We'd be talking about the 1-2 Ravens traveling to Kansas City to take on the 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Wasn't on my bingo card
for sure. And that Lions team, like I think it would be one thing if it was like they won the football game. For me, it was how they won the football game.
Oh, bullied them.
The trick plays still being there. The straight mauling from the offensive line. Tate Rutledge, rookie guard from Georgia. We talked about him the first week and how he struggled and how the interior wasn't going to be as good. And then they go out and have that performance against that group of guys on the defensive line in Baltimore. I think the Detroit team is going to be a problem.
They played bully ball. It was absolute bullying, and I did not expect that out of a Baltimore Ravens team. I just didn't. Let's talk about this week. Talk about big games. I'm gonna skip a lot of the games. I'm just gonna talk about games I think that are huge, right? Games that have like absolute deep implications for the championship. And I still have to bring it up. Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they're both 1-2, but this is the top 2 teams in the AFC. Who do you like in this one? Baltimore at Kansas City. Spagnuolo is going to lock the line of scrimmage. Every time they play the Ravens, it is the same style defense. I am blitzing.
So this game is going to be interesting because obviously the Ravens can't stop the run, but the Chiefs don't really have anybody who truly scares you in the run game. Like Pacheco is okay, Hunt's okay, but not truly threats there. I think it's going to be. I'm curious to see one if Xavier Worthy is going to actually play, but two to see if the Chiefs actually get production out of their wide receivers. Tyquan Thornton looks like he might be Patrick Mahomes' go-to weapon moving forward here. He has the speed. Maybe we see him get incorporated into the offense a little bit more here. But on the flip side of it, like I don't trust that Ravens defense as bad as the Kansas City offense has been. I don't trust the Ravens defense to stop anybody, So I think this will be probably one of those lower scoring games. And I think if it's a low scoring game, that's going to favor the Chiefs. So I'll go Chiefs in a tight one. Walk-off field goal by Bucker, but I would not be surprised at all if Baltimore, snuck out a win in this game as well there. But I'm with you, though. I think that, well, I don't know what way you're going, but Spags is going to have the game plan to make sure that they don't lose the game off of the Ravens going crazy in the run game.
I predicted the Chargers to win the AFC West. I predicted that the Chiefs would start 1-3 for the season. I have an opportunity to be absolutely right on that. I can't go against that. But here's what I'll say. I think that the Chiefs' offense stinks. Agreed. I think Patrick Mahomes, I don't care how good he is, you cannot make wine out of busted up grapes. I absolutely believe that the Ravens have to win this football game. The Chiefs can go on a run after being 1-3. The Ravens going 1-3, I don't know. I think this is a must win for the.
I will say the one thing that the Ravens have going for them, the AFC North sucks. AFC North absolutely sucks. And granted, they've been helped out regardless of, your feelings on the Bengals, Burrow not being there, even if he was there, like they're a competitive bunch there. But the AFC North absolutely stinks. And the Steelers are 2-1. But if you watch them play, you're not worried about them at all. So 1-3, potentially being two games back in the division. You haven't played the Steelers yet. I think is one of those things where I'd almost argue I think the game is more important for the Chiefs.
I don't think the Chiefs win that division no matter what, so I don't really think that matters. I think the Chiefs are a wild card team and they can go on a run. I think they have the experience. I think Baltimore's ready to fold. Give me the Baltimore Ravens to win that football game. I think it's going to be a great one. Here's something I think that is humorous. Sunday Night Football. Before the season started, this was the Sunday Night Football matchup for this week. The Green Bay Packers and Micah Parsons travel back to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. That is cinema. I hate the Cowboys, but this is one of those games I cannot wait to watch on prime time because I'll tell you right now, take the over in Micah Parsons sacks.
He is going to be flying around.
Oh
like
my
God. On fire. I'm very confident in this football game. I think the Green Bay Packers win this game. I think they have Dallas's number. Jordan Love is thrown all over Dallas for years. I think the Packers win this game. I think Dallas sucks. And I think Dallas might finish worse in the division, lower than the Giants. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you right now, that Cowboys team looks like they're defeated. Matt Eberflus being the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys has been terrible. He's a terrible coach. He's been a terrible coach. He runs cover 3. It's base bullshit. Josh Jacobs should have a field day running against that Dallas Cowboys defensive front. And I think that you're going to see this will be the Matthew Golden game. I think Golden has 250+ yard touchdowns in this football game. Give me the Packers in this one. Yeah, I like the Packers big in this one too. And I think, you talk about the Packers defense being bad. I mean, not the Packers, the Cowboys defense being bad. I think on the flip side of it, with their offense, especially with CeeDee Lamb being hurt and being gone for probably the next 3 weeks of the season, George Pickens has already shown his frustration, with the offense. And Javonte Williams has been one of the lone bright spots, I guess you could say, of the Cowboys offense. I'd say he's been better than what they were expecting, which probably wasn't much, but it's something, I guess. That Cowboys team is in trouble. They have such a lack of talent defensively, and then offensively, you have no one to scare you. You have absolutely no one to scare you. The offensive line isn't what it used to be. You have a bunch of young guys in there who aren't going to be able to hold their own, especially against this Packers front, who are very talented, not to mention a super motivated Micah Parsons. I'm 100% with you. I think Micah is playing that game, worry-free, and they have no threat anywhere else. So I think he has a crazy, maybe 3, not 1, not 2, maybe not 3, maybe 4. I think Micah goes crazy in this one.
And in the last game, I saved this for last intentionally. I'm picking it. I'm going to lead this right in the pick 'em. But we got to talk about Indiana Jones. The Indianapolis Colts are 3-0. They're going to head to L.A. to take on the Los Angeles Rams with Puka and Devontae Adams coming off. I'm not going to lie to you. That has to be the worst bad beat of all time. If you had Rams plus 3.5, that has to be the worst bad beat of all time to have Jordan Davis pick up the blocked field goal and score a touchdown. That is wild. Who do you like in this one? Indianapolis going to L.A. Are you buying into Daniel Jones and the Shane Steichen system? This is 3 games, 1 punt, 100 and some points. What's going on?
My mind, borderline refuses to let me believe it. It's got to come to an end. I can't just unsee 4 years of Daniel Jones, and I get it. The Giants are a dumpster fire. But again, I think for me, this just reeks of the Saints from last year. And the Saints had everything rolling, and then Derek Carr got hurt, and then it was all done. And I'm not saying it's going to be exactly the same. I think the Colts have put together a good system around, Daniel Jones, and Jonathan Taylor has been running out of his, at least last game, he was running like a man possessed. But I just do not see this. I don't see this keeping rolling. I got the Rams in this one. I think they make him look very, pedestrian, so to speak. And I think Daniel Jones comes back to earth in this football game.
Colts have the second highest scoring offense in the AFC. Is crazy. And only behind the Buffalo Bills. Let's get into NFL Pick'em. I'm ready to go, baby. Do me a favor.
I got you. You see the name?
Yeah, but did you see exactly what I need to clip what happened last week. I said, don't change it if I go 3-0.
Yep.
Don't change it if I go 0-3 or 1-2. Only change it if I go 2-1.
And you see what happened.
2-1.
You see, look, I heard you loud and clear.
I appreciate it. The NFL Genius 7-2 against the spread this season. Read us off Shalley's picks. I know you have his picks.
I do. Let me get those pulled up here.
I'm gonna have some fun with it, though. I'm gonna tell you whether he's right or wrong.
All right. So Bill's picks.
Hope he's listening.
God damn it! And I didn't even see this. He's got one of mine. He's got the LA Rams minus 3.5 at home versus the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay.
He's got the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5 at home versus the Minnesota Vikings.
It's not at home. That game's in London, baby.
No, it is in London. It's 9:30. Yeah. Well, he's got the Steelers plus 2.5.
Okay.
You're not giving me right or wrong. I thought we were.
I'm not telling you the first one because I picked.
I know it's one of yours. Yep.
The second one, it's funny. I think the only quarterback I can trust to understand what's happening versus Brian Flores' defense is Aaron Rodgers. So I thought about that game.
Right. And then he's got Chicago plus 1 at Vegas.
Hate that pick. That is the trendy, sexy pick. I hate it. I love Vegas in that game. They're my best play I didn't pick.
Well,
Control, what are yours?
That's one of the games that I got. The Bears got them plus 1 at the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are that good of a football team. Geno Smith consistently is turning the ball over. I think the Bears have got their offense kind of flowing there, and I think they got enough to knock off the Raiders, even if it's ugly. So I like the Bears plus 1 there. And then I got 2 kind of ugly picks here. First one, I got the under 44.5 Chargers at Giants. It'll be Jackson Dart's first start. I can see that being a game where the Chargers, they have the game fully in hand. They just, run the hell out of the ball, and you don't really see much fireworks in that one. But I like the under 44.5 there. And then the other game, I like the under 46.5 Jags at 49ers. The Jags offense hasn't been flowing at all so far this season. And they've been having issues putting up points there. And the 49ers, while they've been winning, they're still starting Mac Jones. So I don't expect fireworks, even with how bad that Jags defense is. So like the under 46.5 in that one.
All right. So I got some fun ones. I hate giving points. I hate laying points. My most successful weeks are when I take dogs to win. I'm not doing that this week. I'm laying points in all 3 football games. Here's the first one. Gene, why in the hell would you be betting a team that lost 30-0? Oh, I am. I'll take the Atlanta Falcons at home to knock off the Commies minus 1.5. Raheem Morris and that team got to show up and play better. And I'll say this, Bijan Robinson should have a field day against that Washington Commanders front 7. They should be able to run the football at ease, and there's no way they're throwing the ball against that no-fly zone in Atlanta. I'll take the Falcons minus 1.5 over the Commies. Next one, I teased this one already. I love the Rams minus 3.5. Fool me 3 times, fool me 4 times, Daniel Jones. I don't believe in it. That front 4 of the Los Angeles Rams are going to get after the quarterback, and Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Puka, Hakuna, Matata, Nakua, minus 3.5 at home. Love the Rams in that football game to bounce back. And for my last one, this is a tricky one. I like the Patriots minus 5.5 at home versus the Carolina team that won 30-0. That's a tricky spread. It's done intentional, and it's done for you to bet on the other side. Give me the Patriots at home versus Carolina minus 5.5. By the way, the Patriots did everything they could possibly do in that football game to lose.
For sure.
They fumbled the ball 3 times.
They avoided a first down, like the plague, their last drive of the game.
I think the Patriots smack around I think the Patriots smack around Carolina this week on the road.
Not saying it's crazy, but
it might be the blowout game of the week.
5.5, and it's not to say, any indication of the game, though, but 5.5 is kind of a crazy number given how both teams looked last week.
100. That's why I love that spread. Vegas knows something, and if Vegas knows something, I pay attention. No, seriously. Sure. New England's not traveling. They're staying at home. They played home last week. They're playing home this week. The situation that's going on with Carolina, they win 30-0 at home. They're feeling themselves. They win an emotional division game. They got to travel on the road to take on a Patriots team that's pissed off because they pissed down their leg and fumbled the football 16 times. Yeah, I like the Patriots a lot in that game. I think that might be the blowout game of the week. Last week, I told you the blowout game of the week would be the Seattle Seahawks. I knew the Seattle Seahawks were winning that football game by 190. I should have picked them as one of my picks. I don't know why I didn't. I literally was at Adrian's house, and I said, the Seahawks might win that game 48-3. I get a phone call from Bobby. He's like, dude, it's 38-3. He's like, did you really say that? Like, I'm like, yeah, thought so. Obviously at the end of the game, it got a little bit weirder, but I do want to say this. I want to say this before we get into college football, because we're going to roll right into it. That Tennessee game needs to be examined. Last week, they were up 56-10 with the ball, and they didn't cover the spread versus screw you State. It was weird. Just saying. Looked really fishy. Let's get into college football. Oh, by the way, Kyle approves the pick of the Patriots. Danny Diamonds goes back to Danny Nichols. Biggest bet in the sports books, I'm going to guess the Ravens, right? I'll tell you right now, if you ever know a stat that's not the Lions, I'll be shocked. I'm kidding, by the way.
All right, so college football this week here. Didn't have anything, crazy games last week. Indiana blew out Illinois. I know that was a game we talked about. That was
awful. What the hell happened there? I didn't expect that. It was like 50 points.
Yeah, they won by 53.
What the hell happened there?
Indiana's offense looks legit. Mendoza has been running the show there, and the offense looks incredible.
21 of 23 for 267 and 5 touchdowns versus the number 9 team in the country.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I know they're not the number 9 team in the country. I get it.
Yeah, I mean preseason, but a team that very well could still make the college football playoff, and they were a lot of people's pick. One of the people's picks to make the college football playoff this upcoming year. Just real quick, go over the other top 25 matchups that we talked about last week. Oklahoma beat Auburn 24-17 at home, and Texas Tech won 34-10 over Utah with their backup quarterback playing the majority of the game there. So pretty interesting. Kind of a weaker slate of games last week, but this week that is not the case. So I don't know if you wouldn't go over all of the top 25. USC versus Illinois is not really that important. 21 versus 23. So I feel like we can kind of skip over that game just for time's sake here. But definitely got to talk about LSU 4-0 going to 4-0 Ole Miss.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
When you look at this football game, isn't it the two coaches that piss down their legs the most when there's a situation that's really important?
That is a fact.
I'll be completely clear with you. Ole Miss has been not as good as what you think they've been. They barely beat a Kentucky team in a game that was way closer than it should be. And they barely beat an Arkansas team that I don't think is that good. I don't. People think Arkansas is better than they are. I don't. And they blew out 2 shitbag Georgia State and Tulane. LSU is the better football team, and they're getting points. I'll take LSU in this one. I don't think Ole Miss is as good as people think they are.
So I would say I was with you until they made their switch at quarterback. Ole Miss's quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, is a transfer from Ferris State, who won the D2 national championship last year. And I got to watch a lot of him play last year because one of my good friends is a coach at Valdosta State. They ultimately ended up playing them in the national championship game. And I saw Chambliss basically blow the doors off single-handedly of Valdosta. And Valdosta is a powerhouse D2 level. But with all that said, though, Chambliss is one of those guys where he was dubbed the D2 Lamar Jackson. Like, he is a true dual threat. He is going to be out there making all types of plays. I feel like LSU cannot have an undefeated season. I still believe LSU will make the playoffs. But to me, I think this game has 42, 39, 45, 41 written all over it. Like, I think this is truly going to be one of those games where it is absolute fireworks, and it's going to come down to who has the ball last. So I'm rolling with Ole Miss in this one, in a tight one, but I think they get it done at home over LSU.
Arkansas is close to firing their head coach, what Jory said.
I believe it. They've been underachieving so far this year. So that would not surprise me at all. But we got two big ones.
John Suggs, this was the easiest over of all time. The over in that game was 56, 45-31. So easy. It's free.
So I was going to say, we got two big ones. One, maybe it would have been a little bit bigger if we thought about it preseason, which is what we're going to get into here. But then one is going to live up to the billing. You got number 17, Alabama, 2-1. Traveling down to Athens, Georgia. Number 5, 3-0. Take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Gene, who you got in this one?
I don't know. I don't believe in either one of these teams long term. Ty Simpson looked really good versus Wisconsin. I feel like that at the end of the day, Alabama is always going to compete with Georgia, but Georgia at home is a different Georgia. I like Georgia in this football game. Give me Gunnar Stockton. Give me the experience. Give me the Bulldogs. But I don't feel good about it. Like, I really don't. I wouldn't bet it. This is a game I'd stay away from.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch this game either. I think it's very odd. I think if you do want to touch this game, I'd be looking at the over. It's at 52.5. Both of these teams' defenses have not been up to par, to start the year. So I think that would be the more intriguing play. But for me, I'm also rolling with Georgia here. I just think as a whole, they have more talent. And quarterback-wise, I saw Gunnar in the moment go toe-to-toe with Joey Aguilar and that Tennessee bunch on the road. So I'm not afraid of him being, able to step up in the moment. So I do believe that he'll be up for the task there. But as a whole, though, I think Georgia's playmakers will do exactly what they need to do to keep the distance between that Alabama offense there. So you can see Ryan Williams potentially have a big day, Ty Simpson having a big day, but I think Georgia, they take care of business at home. I think this is going to be another high scoring game, which is, something you're probably not used to when thinking about, Georgia defenses and Alabama defenses of the past there.
It's funny because after you've seen that Alabama game versus Wisconsin, you're like, all right, man, Alabama's back. And then you watch Wisconsin play Maryland, and you're like, whoa, Wisconsin probably just sucks.
Yep, exactly.
They suck.
Exactly. Yep, without a doubt.
That's the way I felt. I'm like, oh, man, they look really good. Oh, Wisconsin sucks. I get it now.
They got a quarterback, Malik Cunningham at Maryland. It's absolutely crazy. Neither here nor there. Be a guy I'm really curious to see if he hits the portal after the season because he looks like a stud. But so we're both rolling with Georgia there.
Don't do it. I'm doing it.
Doing what?
7:30. Saturday night. The Oregon Ducks travel across the country. Happy Valley. Beaver Stadium. University Park, Pennsylvania. To take on the undefeated Nittany Lions. Number 3 in the country versus number 6. The whiteout will be in effect Thank God that Penn State chose not to be soft with their whiteout this year. Cannot be scared of the whiteout. If you're ever going to, and I know you know I'm talking to Mr. James Clifford Franklin. If you're ever going to be taken serious as the head coach of this university and as a national champion coach, you have to win these games. Oregon's traveling on the road. You've been on a bye. Last week they played Oregon State. You play Little Sisters of the Poor the first 3 weeks. This is your moment. Drew Aller, this is your moment. Oregon at Penn State. Who you got, Cottrell?
This is one of those games where I've been going back and forth because I think to myself, I'm like, Penn State has the better team. They have more experience. They have this. They have that. On the flip side, even though Penn State's a better team, Oregon's offense is absolutely dynamic. They have, as a team, I don't think they compare to Penn State, but individually, they have guys who are some of the top guys in the country who are going to be future first-round picks. For me, though, what it ultimately came down to is this. This game being a whiteout, I think, is bigger than, Oregon fans will kind of be led to believe. And ultimately, for me, I think with this being the first true big-time road test, because if you remember, they got Ohio State at home last year. I think it's different when you go on the road to Happy Valley, playing under the lights in the whiteout with the quarterback that's in his fourth start of this season, with the Ducks. I know Dante Moore had been a quarterback at UCLA starting there before, but your fourth start as a Duck in this one. You're out there starting a ton of new faces. I think that will matter, and I think Penn State is going to rally behind that. I think this is going to be one of those middle scoring kind of games. I think it has 24-21, 23-20 written all over it, but I'm rolling with the Penn State Nittany Lions to squeak out a win in this one.
Oregon went on the road one time this year. They played all their games at home. They haven't played very great football teams either. But what I will say is the one game they played on the road, they played against Northwestern. Northwestern ran the ball 37 times for 180 yards and multiple touchdowns. This is a game in which Penn State runs the choo-choo K-Tron, the K-Train Allen down your throat. They get after the young quarterback. The whiteout is too much for the Ducks. Give me the Nittany Lions. Did you think I was going anywhere else?
I did not. No.
Give me the Nittany Lions.
So for what it's worth, Bill also sent me what he had for these as well. He had Oregon beating Penn State. He has Georgia beating Alabama, and he is with you with LSU beating Ole Miss.
Okay. I'm glad he's on Oregon. I hope Alex is on Oregon.
Alex is. Alex is going to.
You were on Oregon. I want everybody on Oregon.
Come Saturday morning, Alex is going to tell you why Oregon is going to win by 17 points, 21 points.
The K train will not be derailed.
It's different going up there. Well, ready to get in the pick 'em?
Yes, sir. I'm not really last place. Percentage-wise.
I'm last. I'm stinking up the joint outside of Superdog. We've hit 4 out of 4 Superdogs to start the year, but I cannot get my pick 'em together. But this week, that will all change. It'll change this week.
Well, read off Bill's picks because he's not here.
Got you. So he's got TCU. He's got Arizona State minus 2.5 at home versus TCU. He's got LSU.
Hate that. By the way.
Me too. I don't like that one at all, especially Arizona State coming off a big win last week over Baylor. I despise that pick. He's got LSU plus 1.5 at Ole Miss.
Okay.
And then he's got Tennessee -7 at Mississippi State. And then for Superdog, he's got Oklahoma State at home +20.5 versus Baylor.
Oh, Jesus. You're the main event here. I'll be the rose in between two thorns. You are the main event for college football. It's college Cottrell. It's not college Gene. I'll give you mine. As I already alluded to, you knew I wasn't going to go a week without picking this game. Give me the Penn State Nittany Lions -3.5 to run all over the Oregon Ducks in Happy Valley. I'll take the Nittany Lions -3.5 in the whiteout. Next game. We alluded to this earlier. I think Arkansas is not as good as people think they are. Give me Notre Dame. Notre Dame got me a win last week. Give me Notre Dame again. -4.5 over Arkansas. It opened up at 6.5. The money bet it down to 4.5, and I'll take advantage of every one of those points I can get. Notre Dame -4.5 over Arkansas. You might like this one, Cottrell. John Suggs said, beware of Washington. I'm not afraid of Washington. I'll take the Ohio State University -8.5 at Washington. I think Ohio State rolls over Washington this week. I don't think it's that close, just being honest with you. And for Super Dog, I have the same as Bill. I have Oklahoma State after firing Coach Mike Gundy over Baylor +20.5.
All right, so I'll start with that Ohio State game because I'm right there with you. I'm not afraid of the Huskies at all this upcoming week. They've looked great to start out the year. They are second in total offense in terms of scoring offense in the country right now, and they've looked absolutely incredible. But I believe that will start to come to an end this week. And not to say that I don't think the game will be close, but ultimately, if Ohio State only needs to win by 2 possessions, I 100% believe that they will do enough to do so there. So I like Ohio State -8.5 as well at Washington. Second game, so I got one with you. I got one with Bill. I like Tennessee -7 on the road at Mississippi State. Loved what I saw out of them just a couple weeks ago against that Georgia team. I think Aguilar and that offense has it rolling there, and I think they will take care of business against a Mississippi State team who has looked better than what they were last year, and especially getting a win over Arizona State. People have high hopes for them, but I think they take care of business because they're a much better football team. Last game here, I like the over 47.5 BYU at Colorado. I think Colorado's offense has been able to, get consistent movement when Caden Salter has been starting at quarterback for them. The defense has been a lot of the same old story, though, and I think BYU will be able to put up some points there against that Colorado bunch. So I think the over 47.5 is a really safe number. And then my super dog is the same as both of you guys. I like OK State as well, +20.5 at home versus Baylor. Not too many options this week, but a team that's playing inspired. They're at home. They really have nothing to lose at this point. So I think they go out there, play free, and, try and keep that game as close as possible.
Great picks, by the way. Love it. We got to get into Major League Baseball. I think it's the biggest collapse in the history of baseball.
I prefer biggest comeback.
What?
I said I prefer biggest comeback.
I get it. But it wouldn't be the biggest comeback if it wasn't for the biggest collapse. I want to give you a ride into the bottom of the 6th inning of yesterday's game with the Guardians-Tigers. If you don't know what we're talking about, Stephen Kwan reached on a bunt single. Then another bunt was hit to be a sacrifice, and there was a throwing error. So
a Scooble
throwing error. Then Jose Ramirez reached on an infield single. Then another runner scored on a wild pitch. Then a ground out after a balk happens, and J-Ram scores to make it 3-2. You're going against the ace pitcher of the Detroit Tigers. You're down 2-0. You don't hit a ball out of the infield, and you scored 3 runs to take the lead. You want to talk about a situation? I'm flabbergasted. best pitcher in baseball, on the mound, doesn't allow a ball to leave the infield. And they scored 3 runs.
And it's even crazier.
Bunt, infield single, wild pitch, balk, ground out. What the hell is going on?
I was going to say it's even crazier because if you think about it, like, because I was watching the game, the announcers made a really good point. That was only Scooble's 3rd wild pitch of the entire season. So it's something that just does not ever happen. And, you know, the other thing is the balk. I mean, Scooble's going to win his 2nd Cy Young in a row here. You know, he knows better, but that John Suggs mentioned this as well. Prayers to David Fry, broken nose and face fractures from 99-mile-per-hour pitch. This also happened in that inning there. And the wild pitch happened the immediate pitch following David Fry getting hit there. So you could tell mentally, Scooble kind of messed up his rhythm. The timing of everything was messed up there with that. But it was an absolutely insane inning. You know, me and Audie have been watching it. I heard her upstairs cheering. I had to look. Guardians took the lead. They had a 2-run home run earlier. So I think the game's 2-1 right now. But it's been absolutely crazy to see. And you know, it's weird to say because I feel like this never happens in Cleveland. But we kind of own the Detroit Tigers right now. Like it's like they just mentally, they just can't get over that hump. Every time they swing, we throw a counter punch and it's right back that way. I mean, think about Game 5 last year. They got Scooble going, and you know we hit the grand slam off of them and ultimately win that series there. As bad as they were playing before this run in August and in the September, we have actually won the season series against the Tigers this year. So we have the tiebreaker. So essentially we have an extra game, you know, to kind of play with in this battle for the division here. So it's been absolutely crazy to see here. And especially because it's been against Tigers team who it felt like just, you know, 45 days ago had absolutely no shot to lose the division. And we were talking about potentially being the 1 seed in the AL.
I want to just bring you back to August 24th. They lose a game, you know, back and forth game. They're 78 and 53 going into the game. They lose a game to the Kansas City Royals 10-8. They get swept in 3 games by the Athletics. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Mets, 2 out of 3 to the lowly Chicago White Sox. They actually win 2 out of 3 versus the Yankees. They lose 2 out of 3 to Miami Marlins. They get swept versus the Guardians. They get swept versus the Braves, who have quit on the season. They lost last night, and they're losing again tonight. They're 85 and 72. I'm not a mathematician, but when you go from 78 and 53 to 85 and 72, that's 9.
A lot of games.
That's a lot. 9 and 20 after tonight. It's the biggest story around baseball. And I got to give the Guardians credit because here's the truth, right? In order for a collapse to happen, another team's got to get hot. In the last 10 games, the Guardians are 9-1. The last 10 games, the Tigers are 1-9.
The Guardians are 18-2 in their last 20.
18-2. It's
insanity.
Absolute insanity. I've never seen anything like it.
The funny thing is I've seen obviously not this exact team. Like actually J-Ram may have been there, but they had a run a few years ago when they went on like a 22-game win streak. This feels like that. Of course, that was fun. Like it's always fun when you get to run up those numbers and it's like, all right, when is this team going to lose again? Things like that. But this run, like it feels so much crazier than even what that did in the moment, because 15 and a half games back after the All-Star break, it's like, all right, yeah, you better try and get, you know, a wild card spot, maybe at best. And not to mention, you sold at the All-Star break. You gave up Shane Bieber. you were shopping around Stephen Kwan. Emmanuel Clase ultimately got suspended and hasn't pitched, since then. So like, I don't know. It's absolutely crazy.
And the crazy part of this is the two teams that had the best two records in baseball at the end of June might not make the playoff. That's never happened in the history of baseball, that the two teams that had the best two records at the end of June might not make the playoffs. This collapse by the Detroit Tigers absolutely overshadows the collapse the New York Mets have made over the last 3 months.
For sure.
The Mets are one game up for the final wild card spot versus Cottrell's Cincinnati Reds, the Arizona Diamondbacks who are on a run. Look, I call it like it is. That is a huge collapse too. But it just feels so much more epic when everything's going on. Like, it looks like the Mets have somewhat righted the ship, right? Like, they've won some baseball games recently. They won yesterday versus the Cubs. But, like, they lost a game the other night to the Nationals. I think it was Sunday or Saturday. That was insane. In extra innings, the way it broke down, it was just wild. They had a runner on third with nobody out to win the game, and they couldn't win the game. It's interesting how things have broken down in Major League Baseball. Cottrell, what are your thoughts on the madness that's happened in baseball? Like, next Saturday, we got playoff games.
For sure. I think it's crazy too. I saw something that said basically 5 of the 6 slots on the NL side has already been determined, and there's only been 2 slots that have been fully clinched on the AL side of things. Actually, it may only just be one. It may just be the Blue Jays who are fully clinched, like their spot into the playoffs. So, like, I think that is absolutely wild. Like, you're looking at teams like, in the AL West, you got the Mariners and the Astros are still battling out for their division. And then in the NL, like, that last playoff slot is definitely going to be tight. It's going to come down to either the Reds or the Mets there. NL West, you still got the battle between the Dodgers and the Padres for the division. So a lot of division battles still happening. And, it's crazy because I would say a month ago, it would have been like, all right, we probably got like 4 or 5 teams that, we feel pretty confident in. But we just don't know where they're going to be.
Yankees can win their division still. They're now 1 game out of the Toronto Blue Jays, and they play the White Sox and the Orioles the last 5 games of the season. I think the Yankees go 5-0 the last 5 games. Could they win the division? Like, it's madness how things have happened in Major League Baseball. Like, the Red Sox are beating the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. The Yankees are winning. That division's tied now. It's tied.
It's crazy, and it's so important because obviously, you want to have if possible, you want to have the bye. Like, obviously, that's what everybody's shooting for. But if you can't get the bye, you're looking to have a first round home playoff game. Like, that's, home playoff series if possible. You want the guaranteed home games in the series. So I think it's absolutely madness what's happening right now. And the fact that the Rangers, I'm happy. The Rangers have been eliminated from playoff contention here. So I'm kind of hoping that they just say, hey, we're going to throw our young guys out there and just see what they have. We no need to play Seager and, these other vets in these games. And, hopefully the Guardians kind of, beat up on their scraps there. But yeah, these matchups are going to be everything to end the season.
If the Guardians win today and tomorrow, it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, then the magic number.
It's over.
It's not over, but they got to win 1 game. Essentially, you got to win 3.
Or the Tigers, who've lost 13.
Or the Tigers, or the Tigers lose.
And they're playing 3 games at Boston. Like, that they're not going to win. They're not going to win. They're not going to sweep Boston.
You're right.
It's over. If the Guardians win tonight, it's over.
You're going out and saying, that'd be a 2-game lead. 2-game lead with 4 games to go.
And
technically one, but they got the tiebreaker
at home, and they play Boston in Boston.
Yeah,
it's over. The Tigers aren't going to make the playoff. Next Wednesday, when we come on air, wild card games would have been played already. Wild card starts on Tuesday. You guys are going to host a playoff game in Cleveland on Tuesday.
I don't want to get too crazy. What's going on with the Mariners? Where are they at right now?
The Mariners won 4 straight, and the Astros lost 3 straight.
Yeah.
Mariners
they got the
have
Rockies, so yeah.
You guys, you are not catching the Mariners. You're not getting them.
No. Well, they got the Dodgers the last series.
Guys,
probably not getting the bye.
I'm telling you right now, you're not catching the Mariners.
I don't think so either. I'm just saying they got the Dodgers last game. Dodgers are still going to be playing for the division too.
The Mariners have won 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. They've won 17 out of the last 18 games.
Yeah, they've been killing.
And by the way, 10, 18, 4, 5, 4, 7, 2, 5, 11, 12, 5. And that recently they're starting pitching 2-0, 4-0. Like the Mariners might win the World Series.
Oh, for sure. For sure. They are definitely in contention there. I'm just honestly, I'd much rather see whoever comes out on top of the AL East than seeing the Mariners in the playoffs there. Like we got to go up against, because I think it's pretty safe to assume that, it's going to be the AL East winner and then the Mariners as your 1 and 2 seeds there. I'd much rather be on the side of the AL East than having a date with the Mariners if you get out of that wild card round. Of course, getting out the wild card round is the most important thing. I'm just saying as a whole, though, I'd much rather see either Boston or not Boston, but either New York or the Blue Jays than seeing the Mariners the way they're playing right now.
And the Boston Red Sox pitching crochet tonight, hoping they don't have to pitch them the rest of the season, because if they win tonight over Toronto, they're hoping they don't have to pitch him until
so then they can game one. Yeah.
It's madness. I'm fired up. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm sure you're happy you don't have to worry about it though. Phillies take care of business.
They're locked into it too. They lost 5 out of the last 6, or they could have got the 1. But at the end of the day, being the 2 seed, you're going to play the Dodgers, the home field advantage in Philadelphia. I'm scared to death of the Mets. I don't care how bad they've looked. But if it's Dodgers-Mets, I'm praying the Dodgers win. I don't care how loaded that Dodgers team is. I don't want any parts of the Mets.
I hear you.
None. Anything else at MLB you want to talk about?
No, nothing really. I mean, the next show is when we really get into the playoff talk. So, no, I got nothing. Guards just added on another run.
Guardians just lost another. David Fry suffered a broken nose and facial fractures. It's just another player that you guys have lost for the year. It's insane. It's just 6 to 8 weeks. He's done for the year. The Phillies are having a home run derby down there in Miami tonight. You want to hear this? This is hilarious. Schwarber, the Phillies were down 1-0. Schwarber homer, Sosa homer, Stott homer, Sosa homer, Schwarber homer, Bohm homer, Kemp homer, Sosa homer. Sosa's got 3 homers.
Sosa's doing his Kyle Schwarber
homers
impersonation.
It's insanity. They have 11 runs, all off home runs. 8 home runs. Is that a record? Just kidding. I don't know, just interesting. What are your thoughts on the AI umpire? Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. I can't wait till it happens. Let's get our Ryder Cup predictions, Kittrell.
All right, so I'm a little disappointed in Bill not being here for this part.
Dude, Bill is I don't know he's part of the show anymore. Look, I'll say it this way. I wish Allie and all those guys a ton of luck down at Worlds. They're down in Florida playing softball Worlds this week. So I can't wait to see this Ryder Cup, though. It's going to be fun. I wish that we had Bill to bring us in to give us, this is the 75th running of the Kentucky Derby. I'm kidding. But Ryder Cup, it's going to be fun. You're going to have the crowd that's going to be nuts. Looking forward to seeing how everything plays out, but looks like you're going to get Thursday is going to be your start, and practice wins. Friday, morning foursomes, afternoon foursomes. You're going to get Saturday, and then you're going to get your singles on Sunday. Let me get their roster. Do you have the rosters?
I do.
All right, perfect. Pull them up for me.
Yep. So you want me to tell you, or what you want here?
I got up on my end. I'm good.
Okay.
Captain Luke Donald, Ludwig Alberg, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Tyrell Hatton. Screw all of them. Victor Hovland, Rory, John Rahm. Screw them. I'm talking about the Americans. Patrick Cantley, Bryson DeChambeau, Scotty Scheffler, JJ Spawn, Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, Cam Young, Colin Morikawa, Harris English. Who do you like in this one, Cottrell? Do you have the Americans?
I'm rolling with the Americans here. I think as a whole, I mean, this is probably, and Bill would be able to attest to this, but as a whole, I think this is one of the times where you look at everything, kind of stack these group of players, side by side with each other. This is one of the times where the Americans actually can stand toe to toe with that European roster. Europeans obviously have ton of great talent over there, but I do think right now, I mean, obviously Scotty's been the best in the world, and John Suggs has the comment DeChambeau could have a big impact if he's on his game. I mean, the argument can be made that he's number 3 in the world. Like, Bryson can be that guy when he's playing his best golf there. So I think as a whole, it being back in the U.S. this year, up in New York, I think the U.S. is going to do what they need to do to bring it home. And I believe this would be the 3rd win in the last 12 matchups. I believe Europe has won 9 of the last 11.
It's in Bethpage, the Black Horse in Farmingdale, New York. And the crowds are going to be wild in Bethpage. The weather is going to be beautiful. It's going to be a little bit of rain on Thursday. It's the practice round, and it should be beautiful this weekend. Let me get the exact weather. Bethpage, New York. Yeah, 78 on Friday, 76 on Saturday. Could be a little rain Sunday morning. We'll see. But as far as Friday, Saturday, you're going to get some nice golf, and it's a beautiful course. So I'm looking forward to seeing this week's Ryder Cup. It'll be fun. I got the Americans winning. I'm hoping that you get like a Bryson Rory one-on-one. Like, I hope they line it up. Oh, my God. It would be great. That's what you want. They hate each other.
That would be fun.
Any other one-on-one matchups you would look forward to, like maybe Scotty, John Rahm?
I was going to say Scotty would be the one who I would want to see up against somebody. Want to see Scotty Rahm, Scotty Rory. I mean, I'm excited for a lot of these matchups, honestly. Like, I'm curious to see who's going to step up because, again, Scotty is obviously going to be the guy, but I'm curious to see who is going to step up and be like the next best golfer for this U.S. group.
It's Bryson.
It should be Bryson. It's been consistently Bryson, but is it going to be Bryson in this tournament?
Yes. I'm ready. Yes.
Well, time will tell.
Anything else to get in the Ryder Cup?
Not really. No, I mean, I definitely will be locked in. I am I was very surprised to see. So my job is one of the sponsors for the Ryder Cup, and they sent out an email to us on like Thursday of last week, and it was like, hey, if you guys want tickets, like $100 a ticket. I was like, of course, I'm not going to be able to go. But I'm like, that's good to know for the future. And then I look it up, and they won't be back here until 2029. So it's like, all right, well, something to kind of look forward to maybe one day. But
you have bought the tickets and like gave them to us?
No, I would have had to go, and it would have had to be like with somebody else.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that's it.
Let's get into some. You got to be kidding me.
All right. So this week, I really didn't have much to choose from until I came across the story and I looked more into it, and I was like, that's kind of insane. So report came out that the Phoenix Suns have made their employees sign an agreement this past spring that they were not allowed to sue for workplace matters in order to keep their jobs. And this comes after the 6 workplace lawsuits that have been filed against the Phoenix Suns since October of 2024. Guys, I don't know how easy it is to just create a better workspace for people. Like, people shouldn't feel like, oh, I have to walk on pins and needles or I'm going to get fired. No, you could just clean up your workforce, workplace experience there, and these people won't have to worry about it. There's a reason you guys are getting sued by 6 different people in 6 different cases since October of 2024. It hasn't even been a full calendar year since all of these lawsuits have been filed there, and you're threatening your workers with, potentially getting fired there because you guys aren't taking care of business. This is absolutely crazy from the Phoenix Suns, and I would expect, a lot better from a professional organization there. So this week for me, the Phoenix Suns making their workers sign this agreement form that they cannot sue them when they've clearly done a lot of, ill things within the workplace there.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I got a video for you from how you got to be kidding me this week. If you haven't heard, Dabo Swinney is a winner, and he'll tell you about it. So when addressing the 1-2 start, Dabo Swinney, here you go.
Clemson's tired of winning. They can send me on my way, but I'm going to go somewhere else and coach. I ain't going to the beach. Hell, I'm 55. I got a long way to go. Y'all going to have to deal with me for a while. I got a long way to go. I'm just getting going. I'm just now good enough to be a head coach. I'm just now figuring it out. So we'll be around a while. Let's hang in there. Hey, listen,
I find it hilarious that Dabo Swinney is this arrogant as he is. Look, Clemson wouldn't be anywhere near where they are. He has created the culture of what Clemson is. That Clemson never was like this until Dabo Swinney got there. However, you can't go 1-2, and then get in a press conference and say, I'm just figuring this out. I know how to coach after losing to Georgia Tech, losing to LSU. Okay, you lost on the road to Georgia Tech. Okay, you lost to number 3 LSU. You got a home game versus Syracuse. If you ever needed your team to step up for you, it would be after a press conference like that. Dabo Swinney goes on that press conference and proceeds to get the shit kicked out of him at home by Syracuse, 34-21. So, Dabo Swinney, you're this week's. You got to be kidding me.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
What a dope comment.
It's crazy. The funny thing, though, is that he's kind of got that university by the balls right now. But the way his deal is, and the success that he's had there, and as bad as they were even last year, they still made the college football playoff and gave Texas a run for their money. So 1-3 is definitely not the way to go here, but that is a perfect comment there as well, John. So they got a lot of tough decisions to make out there at Clemson.
I mean, they've got ran in that football game. Club threw the ball 60 times.
Syracuse lost their starting quarterback. Granted, the game was out of control at that point, but if you actually watched that football game, there was never a moment in time and during that game where you said Clemson has the opportunity to potentially win this football game. Never a moment. I mean, literally from the start of the game, Syracuse went down, scored right away, and then Fran Brown had the stones to kick an onside kick on the very, ensuing kickoff there, which led to more points there. Syracuse dominated this game from start to finish.
Completely agree. Any final comments, Control? We'll wrap it up.
Nothing from me, man. Nothing from me. Another fun one, man. Gene, I feel like we never got to do shows together, and we've had 2 in the last, 5 weeks together?
New York Liberty should be on the list for firing their head coach. No, they shouldn't. Look, Look, I don't want to get into that. I think the reporter that asked the Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart if their coach should have been fired in front of their coach should be on. You got to be kidding me. That's more wild than them firing their coach. You can't lose in the first round. You can't do that and be at Liberty. You cannot be the coach of Liberty and have Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu and John Claude Jones and lose in the first round. Can't do it. Sorry. Am I wrong?
I love the question. No, you can't do that, but they are 1 year removed from a championship, and Brianna Stewart has not really been healthy. She's been on again, off again, healthy all year. So I wouldn't have fired her, but you're right. You can't do that with that group of talent.
But
I love the question though, by the way. And messy as hell, but that's a reporter. That is a reporter doing their job. 100%. And then it comes out that she ended up getting fired. Like that is the people want to know. Like this is what's happening behind closed. That's a reporter doing her job there 100%. I absolutely love that she had the confidence to do so.
I think there had to be something internally, like an issue with Stewie or Sabrina. Brianna Stewart broke her silence on Sandy Braddo's firing with 4-word message. And I think that Stewart was astounded that the question was asked when she was responding by saying, "What the F?" under her breath.
She did.
This is frying me, is what she said. It's a 4-word response. But we have Sandy's back. Okay, well, apparently not, because she's gone. Like
if they really, I'm not going to say they didn't have her back, but if they wanted her to still be the coach, that'd have been an easy response to the question. I'm sure it caught her off guard a ton, but it'd be like, look, this is on us. Like we didn't perform up to par this year. You know, I wasn't healthy. We never got it going. Like this isn't on Sandy. Like Sandy led us to a championship last year. Like easy response. If you're, going to go to bat for your coach, easy response. But
100%.
that didn't happen.
All right. Well, that's all we got. I do want to give final listen. If you're down there at Worlds, if you're listening from Worlds, if you're one of the PA guys down there playing softball this weekend, wish you all the best of luck. I'll be tuned in tomorrow morning, checking you guys out, hoping you guys win your first game. If you don't know, they're D Worlds. They're at, I don't know. I'll have Shally post the field, but I think they play at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Good luck, guys. To all the guys down there from Softball America, guys I play softball with, wish you guys the best of luck. Cottrell, no final thoughts from you?
Nothing.
I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell. We're missing my man, Uncle Shally, Scholastic Shally. And we are signing out.